It's about noticing whenever money is coming to you or a gift is coming to you and acknowledging it and being grateful for it and saying, thank you, I'd love more. So when you open your bank account and you see that amount, instead of feeling like, oh, that's not enough, be like, thank you, I'd love more.
Hey, friend. This conversation today is one of those that stays with you, the kind that invites you to slow down, give yourself a deep breath, and sit with the tenderness of what it means to be human. My guest today was Linda Brand. She shared her story with a raw honesty that moved me deeply. This isn't a polished highlight reel. It is a conversation rooted in vulnerability and the kind of truth that can just melt you open and make you feel more human because you relate. Linda speaks from the places in her life where things were hard, where she had to reach into the depths of herself to find love, strength, and resilience. There are moments in this episode that are emotional for her, even pretty heavy, but within that weight is something profoundly beautiful. She really found and continues to find herself and to serve others through that work. The reminder that our stories, even the hardest chapters, can be transformative and can be transformed into something that heals not just ourselves, but others too. So as you listen, I invite you to meet this conversation with softness for yourself and for the tender parts of your own story that might surface. There's just no rush to quotes fix or quotes figure it out, just an invitation to be present, to let the words land where they may, and to feel the truth of what's being shared. Let's step into this conversation together.
What if I told you that the key to deep peace, healing, and clarity is already within you, just waiting to be unlocked? Welcome to Mountain Breathwork Infused with Reiki. This isn't just breathwork. This isn't just Reiki. It's a powerful, transformative experience. A journey into your own energy, your own breath, your own healing. Your first session right now is donation-based because I want you to feel it, to truly experience the shift. But here's where the magic happens. You'll release stress, stuck energy, and emotional weight that's been holding you back. You'll feel lighter, freer, and deeply connected to yourself, your intuition, and what really matters to you. You'll tap into clarity, creativity, and a profound sense of peace that carries into your daily life. And when you commit to the journey, a 10-session package for $1,011 takes you deeper, unlocking lasting transformation, breakthroughs, and expansion. Available over Zoom, whether it's just you and a partner, so powerful, your family, so powerful, or just any small group that you're intimate with and you want to work with. You will be guided into a space of safety, release, and renewal. Hosting a retreat, I would love to bring this healing to your community. It's time. Give yourself a deep breath. Say yes to your expansion. Message me to book your first session today. Siri@sageandblushwellness.com. Check the show notes. Welcome to The Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. I'm Siri Baruch Thornton, a lifelong healer, teacher, and creative. My journey began in a yoga ashram in Boston and led me through the healing communities of Vermont to over 25 years in the film and TV industry. Along the way, I've learned from spiritual masters, explored meditation, clairvoyance, and embraced my role as a mountain breathwork teacher, Reiki Master of Masters, and Akashic teacher. This podcast is all about inspiring you to expand your capacity to feel good through conversations, tools, and practices that support your inner growth and creativity. So, whether you're seeking healing, transformation, or simply a deeper connection with yourself, join me as we explore what it means to live authentically, creatively, and in alignment with your highest self. Let's dive in.
So exciting because today I have a dear friend, a beautiful, incredible coach, Linda Brand. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Linda just in case you don't already know. She is a woman's empowerment coach and spiritual mindset coach. She guides women on a transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Certified as a dream builder coach through the Brave Thinking Institute, she specializes in helping people unlock their inner potential, cultivate deep self love, and create meaningful life transformations. Linda has been an entrepreneur most of her life. She was a single mom, overcame many challenges and trauma in her life, including a debilitating illness. She is the host of Empowered, Abandoned to Abundant podcast. I love that name so much, where she shares powerful conversations that are inspirational, transformational, and motivational, as well as solo episodes where Linda shares powerful insights to help her audience shift their negative programming. She has a background in real estate, but is passionate about self-development, health, wellness, and spirituality. Linda believes self-worth and self-love are the foundation of a successful, abundant life. So, Linda, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is such an honor and a pleasure. You've been such a beautiful friend to me in my world, and I appreciate you so much. You speak, Linda, passionately about self-worth and self-love being the foundation of an abundant life. So, for those, and I think so many people, even when they have the tools, are struggling with negative programming and self-doubt, lingering self-doubt, what are some practical steps or mindset shifts that can help them begin cultivating radical self-love today in this?
I love that question. Thank you, Siri, for having me. First of all, I'm super honored to be here. You have an amazing podcast. I am so in awe of your, oh my gosh, your stamina with the podcast. And just it's been incredible watching you. Um,
We're,
so
we're,
thank
we're right there with each other. You're the same
you.
way. You're the same way.
Oh, thank you. I try. Um, so you asked what are some what are some things we can do to cultivate more radical self-love? Okay. It's really getting quiet and listening to what you're
Mm,
actually saying to yourself and
yeah.
noticing, your inner critic, because we all have an inner critic. And I used to have a really mean inner critic, and she was loud, and not so much anymore because I have learned to integrate. I have learned to send love and love all of me. And it's a practice. It's a practice because we do have these negative programs around, even society teaches us we're less than because we don't look like that person, and we're not driving that car, or so we have so much conditioning, teaching us, men and women, that we're like less than, or we're not good enough unless we have
Yes.
achieved this, or we have this job, you know what I mean? So it's really it's a practice. And I think being compassionate with yourself and becoming your own best friend is another gigantic thing that I have done and I work on doing, is loving myself that way, like being my own best friend. And when you overeat or you do something that you normally would shame yourself, that's when you want to give yourself even more compassion and just be like, oh, it's okay.
Mm.
Tomorrow's a new day, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So, Linda, I just want to ask you a few things like, where were you born? Where did you grow up? What was childhood like? Let's just get a little bit of background.
Sure, absolutely. So I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and I grew up in Michigan my entire life until like 3 years ago when I sold my home and moved across the country to Florida. But my childhood was, I always thought was just decent until my teen years, where I was kind of left. I was the youngest of three, and I had older parent. My dad was older; he worked all the time, and my mother was busy with everybody else, and I was kind of lost in the shuffle. And I kind of knew at an early age, like that I wasn't like them. And so Oh, I kind of got away with friends and we moved when I was 12 and I ended up in the wrong crowd and it just went downhill from there. And I ended up in trouble with the law and, on drugs and it was awful. And
Wow.
I have a lot of trauma from that. But when I started doing this work, spirit, so I started hiring coaches in 2017. But when I moved to Florida and started a coaching business and a podcast, and I start like doing more self-discovery, I'm realizing, wow, when I was my earliest childhood memory, I was attacked by a cat at age 4 in the street, or I was, locked out of the house at age 5 in the pouring rain, screaming and crying,
Yeah.
so like all these weird, like, oh wow, this is so interesting. But my childhood, I grew up in Detroit. We moved around. I wasn't like living in the city at age 5. We moved again into the suburbs. We moved multiple times. My family, my mother's side was from Russia. My grandmother lived with us from age 5 on, or we lived with her. And, my dad was super frugal. He grew up in the Depression and he was like,
Yes.
oh, we don't need 2 houses. Yeah. And he was older and he was just like, people, I didn't see a lot of self-care from either parent. I didn't,
Right.
yeah, there's just a lot. But, they stayed married for 50 plus years and they never swore and they never drank and all these things. But like, there was no affection and there was no,
Yeah.
friendships. There was no, intimacy at all. I mean,
That wasn't modeled for you, but it had the conditioning that you stay together and that's what you do. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So fascinating, your life. And so you have so much to draw upon that you experienced the opposite of self-love. You experienced a lot of chaos and a lot of discomfort and a lot of not feeling like you were home in your literal home, but also not home in your own body, not home in your own mind. And so you've really like clawed your way out of those conditions and made yourself within yourself and externally a different life for you. And that commitment to strive, to seek, to have a better life than where you started, than the cards you were dealt, is so commendable and so brave and so courageous. But it's interesting because I think people that have had this path that you're describing, it's like there really is no other choice. Your soul is like, oh no, we're going on a different trajectory because we have a mission here and we need to help people. And that's
Yeah.
what you're doing. And it's gorgeous and it's amazing. And so my question for you is, there are days where for whatever reason everything just feels, like yesterday, for example, everything just feels easy. And I'm like, I don't feel emotional. I feel light. I feel good. I feel grateful. I'm happy. I'm doing my things, my practices. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. And then there's mornings like this morning where I wake up and I'm just immediately, the waves come crashing in of like, I'm not enough. I don't do enough.
Mm.
All the self-doubt that just comes crashing in, the anxiety. And I was fine yesterday. So,
Yeah.
so talk to me about those waves of kind of our ups and downs, and then how you relate to yourself through those.
Yeah. I love to live in the present moment. So I love to get back to the present moment and just like when that happens, and just say, okay, what do I have to do today? And then I'll say, okay, so after that, I'm free. I'm free. I can choose. So it's really an empowering thing, right? When you realize,
Hey, we're going to pause here for just a moment. What's the thing that's never getting better? The thing that keeps you up at night? The loop you can't seem to break free from? Bring it to our Akashic record reading session. This isn't just a reading, it's a sacred conversation with your soul, with your team, your masters, teachers, and loved ones and guides. A place where the deepest parts of you are seen, heard, and understood. What happens in a session? You receive the clarity you've been searching for. You get the validation for what you've been feeling but couldn't quite name. You experience an energy clearing, releasing lower vibrational and stuck emotions so you can move forward lighter, freer, and more aligned. What if the answers you've been seeking are already waiting for you? In this space, you can finally breathe, release, and receive the relief you've been craving. One session or a package are available over Zoom from anywhere in the world. It's time to lift the weight off your heart. Say yes to clarity. Say yes to relief. Message me to book your Akashic Record reading today. Link in the show notes. And we're back.
I'm free. I can choose. So it's really an empowering thing, right? When you realize,
I'm the same way, by the way. I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, these are the things I have to do, and then I get to be free and like be creative in a free spirit. Same.
yeah, yeah. I do
Yeah.
that because like I've had some very interesting days the last couple of days and similar to you, but yesterday wasn't feeling like ease. But because we both work or have learned a lot from Kathy Heller, like I love ease was the word I chose for this year. Like
I
ease.
love it. I
I
love it.
really, yeah, I want ease. I desire ease. I am worthy of ease. And
I am
yeah,
worthy of ease is a
I
good
am,
one. That's a
yeah,
good one.
yeah, affirmations are gigantic. Um, and there's something else you said. I appreciate what you said so much. It's been a journey, and I left out that when I had a health condition in 11 and 12 where I got very, very,
Yeah.
and I was misdiagnosed by multiple doctors, and I was a single mom at the time, and his father was very active in his life, so I was fortunate that he was available to take him to his hockey and do all those things when I wasn't available. But that was a nightmare I went through, and ultimately I had to figure out, because we are our own advocate, we know our bodies better than any doctor. Every doctor told me I had fibromyalgia, and I knew that just wasn't it. And so anyway, I took myself to a rheumatologist, brought a bag of supplements, and he does a physical exam and tells me I have fibromyalgia. I said, "You're going to tell me from physical exam?" And he's like, "Well, I can draw blood." I said, "Please do." Like, I didn't freaking come here to not have you draw blood, right? So
Hmm.
I grew up in a lot of I have the ego thing sometimes, but I always some people have these vision, I have high respect for doctors, but I also want people to understand that you are their boss. Like they're
Mm.
you know what I mean? They work for you. You go there and
Mm.
ask for help. And if you don't like them, you can pick somebody else,
That's
right?
right.
So,
I like to say you are your highest authority. Don't outsource your knowing. That's what you're
right.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you find a good doctor that listens to you and gives you what you desire, because we know what we need and want. And anyway,
Yes.
you hold
So
on
you
to the,
just knew, you just knew intrinsically, like that's not what this is. And then until you
yeah.
got the answer.
I got the answer, and he even then said it's rare in Michigan, and I believed him. And then my friend, who's a pharmaceutical rep, he's like, "No, Linda, look into that. Look into the Lyme disease." So I looked into it, and all the puzzle pieces fell in place. And I joined all the groups, and all these people
Oh,
they knew so much because they read all the books and they've been to all the doctors and they gave me advice. And then it's a whole long story.
yes.
But I came out the other side, and I fought it through multiple modalities, including medicinal, herbal, spiritual. I started lighting Shabbat candles every Friday, and I used gratitude to the
Mm,
so gratitude was gigantic too, because it
yes.
helped you shift. I could create a course on just gratitude. Like gratitude's a giant piece of my whole, the last 12, 13 years or something. But it helped.
It's the deepest medicine, isn't it? Because you can't be in gratitude and be complaining or be frustrated or be disappointed or be anything. When you're putting yourself in gratitude, when you're focusing your mind on gratitude, that's all you're thinking about. That's all you're in. You're just seeping yourself in it.
Absolutely. And the reality is that was the underlying blessing from that. And I say it was awful because I had little support. I had, my son and his father laughing at me at one point. I don't want to get into
Oh, yeah.
and I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, sorry. But eh, so it was I almost canceled the interview because I didn't get a good sleep. But it was November and I couldn't get into the doctor till April for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And then this other doctor, because I was looking for Lyme literate doctors, this other doctor wanted $1,000. This is back in 2012 for the first visit.
Mm.
Did not take insurance. So I kind of like, I talk about how I overcame this debilitating illness and, people, whatever, but like 4 years, I mean, I couldn't eat a carrot without feeling a reaction like from the sugar because I had so much antibiotics in the body. So if I ate a carrot, I was like getting a reaction in my mouth from like yeast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, it was bad. But what I recognize is that was really a gift because it taught me how to take care of myself.
Right.
Single mom, when he left, I was taking my baths, I was taking care of me. So I would work and then I would take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like this beginning of my spiritual awakening, but I didn't realize it until
Right.
right. And then in 2016, I was at a self-development workshop, and it was the beginning of like the real learning and growing. And he's like, you identify yourself. And I just, a light bulb moment, I went back to the MD alternative doctor that I was seeing at the time. She drew blood, it didn't show Lyme. So I was like, she's like, there's one indicator of inflammation. We don't know what it, blah, 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 it could be any. So anyway, I said, I'm done identifying as a sick person because I was like, oh,
Right.
I'll never be in a relationship. No one's gonna. So
Yep.
that was 2016. And then 2017, I met someone and I was with him for like 2 years, but he wasn't the right one because we attract who we are and what we are. And at the time, I was very insecure. I grew up very low self-worth, low self-esteem, all of those things.
Yeah.
So I've worked on all of it. And then I fell into this real estate business in 1992, which, and my son, it's a whole story, but like, if you're not passionate about a career in real estate, it's not an easy job, right? It's not an easy
Even
business.
if you are passionate about it, it's constant, right? It's just it's like let's pull it together and go,
Emotional.
go again, go again, go again. Yeah, it's a
Like, yeah, the sales and anyway. But ultimately, I had an astrology reading, someone I met through the podcast. I love my podcast because it's brought me amazing souls like you. I would have never,
yeah,
right? And she did a reading for me and she's like, Linda, you're the wounded warrior. You're meant to help women. You're like, this is your mission, and this whole thing. And it was really,
exactly.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable and so just open-hearted. I do feel, and I say this a lot, that our sensitivity, our vulnerability, our transparency, our open heart, that's our gift. That's why we're good at doing what we do. That's why we can help other women because of the compassion, because we've been there. We get it. We're out of the age of thinking or needing to pretend that someone who's a coach or that's going to help you is perfect
Yeah.
because we are all on our own self love, self help journeys. And we're like, let's hold hands and do this together. You have transformed significant personal challenges, which we were just touching upon, including single motherhood, which you were touching upon, and overcoming this debilitating illness, the Lyme disease, right? So, into powerful fuel for your coaching work, you've taken all of that, like you just said. How did creativity and self expression play a role in your healing journey? And how do you encourage your clients to tap into their own creative power for transformation?
Well, so I started hiring coaches in 2017. I was in real estate, but they were all spiritual. And I didn't know much of anything about the law of attraction or the universal laws. And I grew up with very, very little faith and we were Jewish, but my dad chose to be an atheist, even though he was raised Jewish. And my mother's side was from Russia. And I don't think they knew anything. So I learned, when I was pregnant with my son, I learned about Judaism and anyway, the wisdom there. And so, but when I started hiring coaches, and then in 2021, I was at this event in Miami and I got this download that I belonged in Florida, this divine message. and I changed my whole life and moved across the country and basically started the coaching business. And because I'm at this event in Miami and like everyone's a coach, like I'm in real estate and they're all coaches. And I'm like, she's a coach. Like, why am I not a coach? I like help all these people. I've been reading the books. I've been hiring coaches. I've been doing the work.
Yeah.
And so that was exciting. And I was like, okay, um, I'm going to do coaching. But so the certification through the Brave Thinking Institute, basically so Mary Morrissey is the owner and she studied under Bob Proctor, and it's all intertwined, the spiritual mindset, which I'm intuitive and all that anyway. But what it is it's getting super crystal clear on what you want. It's really focusing on the vision. It's really knowing what it is you want. Like if a genie came to you right now, Siri, and said, you have three wishes, what are they? Like, do you know your wishes? Like you've got to know. And it's like so many people you coach and they're like, it's like, no, you want to know what would, if the sky is the limit, there's no limits. Of course, we all have these limitations in our mind and we all like keep it, well, I'd have this house and, this, it's like, well, if you could have anything, what would you have? And so it's like, getting really clear on what you want. And then being in gratitude as if it's already here.
Mm,
That's part of it too. But it's getting excited because anything's possible. We're seeing it. If someone else is doing it, it's available to us, right? And
mm.
I love what you said about, I am very authentic and honest. And it's like, no, I'm not up here. I can help anyone that's 3 steps behind, 3 years behind, 2 years behind. But I'm very truthful. I mean, like Gabby Bernstein, right? She's one of my heroes and someone that I love. And she'll be like, I'm in my therapy office every Wednesday at 5:30. Like she's not pretending to be totally, oh, I'm over, like I can. So the reality
Yeah.
is that's the dream of mine, is to be making the impact she's making, through my books, courses, podcasting and serving hundreds and thousands of people. Like I have a vision to become someone of that, my own version, right? Of Gabby
Right.
or Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this creativity, because we're on the authentic creative here, how do you find that for yourself? How do you encourage your clients to, and when I say creative, I might just mean like thinking outside the box. How do you get them when you talked about just now, thinking of those 3 wishes? That's creative thinking, right? And
Yeah.
so how do you do that with yourself? Get more creative, think more outside of the box, get out of your own kind of structured thinking, like you were talking about, like instead of just saying like, well, I want this house, I want this, I want this. Like, how do you get yourself to dream bigger, to be more creative in your thinking, and then for your clients as well?
For the clients, it's a lot of evocative coaching. It's a lot of questions. Tell me more, and getting them to, oh, you love singing? Oh, and then she signs up for a singing class. Or the guy who, like, I'm like, it's asking and asking these questions and getting them to say, and it could be like, well, what did you want to do when you were in second grade? Like, what did you want to do when you were a child? So it's that, right?
Mm,
A lot
mm.
of evocative coaching and questions, and tell me more, and getting them into that. And it's so much fun, actually. I love hearing it because it's like, oh, I didn't know you loved horses. And oh, I didn't know that, you were whatever, whatever. And so, and then for myself, I love luxury and I mean, it's like when I went to see Tracy Litt in Palm Beach and I stayed at the O, and I was like crying because I was staring at the ocean in this beautiful space, and just everything there felt like this is where I belong. And
Mm.
then, of course, that's like, if we have this desire, I truly believe it's meant for us. We're supposed
Yes.
to have it, right?
Yes. Yes.
I just interviewed somebody for the show, and she studies under Joe Dispenza, and she talks a lot about like the how do you word it, where the different timelines are all happening at once or something, the quantum, I don't know.
Uh-huh. The quantum field. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Collapsing timelines or living your
yeah.
highest timeline or something.
I forgot the word, but it's basically it's already done. It's just raising your frequency, right? To become it.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole journey is really, who do you become throughout it to achieve the things? Because
Got
if you're
it.
right,
Yeah,
and
you're saying like it already exists. The whatever the creative thought is, it already exists on some timeline, and you just have to raise your frequency to meet that.
yeah, that's
Got
part of
it.
it.
Got it.
I believe that to be true. Yeah. And it's a lot of beliefs and like paradigms and but I love getting in nature. Like I live in an area where I can be in nature in 5 minutes. And I love being with myself, being in nature, getting off technology and reading books and feeding myself positivity and podcasts and books and just all the things. And that's,
Yes.
it's just constant effort to become who you desire to be, and studying these people, right? It's like,
Yeah, it's interesting because we touched upon that in the beginning, and I'm curious, coming back to this thought of what do you think, Linda, is, and maybe it's hard to put words to, what do you think is that thing that drives you to always be putting yourself in a higher vibration?
I think it's desire to feel good. And I truly, because it's funny, before you and I joined today, I found, how you get these memories, photo memories that show up in your phone, your Google Drive.
Yeah, yeah.
They were like videos from when I first started coaching, and it was me trying to do something, and I was listening to myself, and she was saying all these things that I say today, but it's like, did you really believe it? Because you don't sound like you believe it, like when I was listening to her. And she was adorable. It was me, 2 years ago or whatever, 2.5 years ago. But so I am driven because I know what's possible and I want it,
Mm,
right? It's just it's
mm.
it's also like we're only all we have is this moment. I study the Course in Miracles. Like all we have is this moment right now. We're always living in the future, living in the past. It's like freaking live in the present. That's where the gift is. Enjoy what you currently have, gratitude, right? And just be. Like we're not human doings, we're human beings. We all have this program, women especially, where we have to like earn, our worth or, do all these different things when we're actually receivers and we're supposed to be eating grapes and laying, having somebody bring us everything. Like, honestly,
I love it.
we're
Just
over,
goddesses. Yeah,
we're goddesses. And like,
yeah,
that's why,
yeah.
Gina DeVee, are you familiar with her? Okay, so
No.
that was the event that I was at in Miami. Okay. And I had gone to see her in Chicago. I drove 4.5 hours in the snow. And so her book, The Audacity to Be Queen, is
Ah,
required reading for all women, I believe.
love it. Okay, so Linda, your podcast Empowered. I love the name Abandoned to Abundant. Is that new or did I just not discover that until recently? That
No, it's new. I shifted it, but it was actually original. I was going to do abandoned to empowered or something, and I thought, oh, that's too negative. But then I was recently just, in this group where we were talking about podcasting and something just, I just wanted to do a pivot. And there's more solos now with me and my coaching, and it's just more aligned with my message, my mission, and my story.
I think it's so powerful. When I saw that the other day, Abandoned to Abundant, I was like, "Oh, that's good."
Thank you.
Because we all have that abandonment wound on some level, and it's so specific and it's so brave. You might not feel like it's brave, but I think it's so brave to say that in your title, like abandoned to abundant, and just the alliteration of it. It's very clever. How did it come to you? Did you get a ping? Did you hear something? How did this come about?
Well, when I was interviewing somebody a while ago and I am writing a book.
I love
I'm,
it.
I know that you're also writing a book. So I'm writing a book and, I had the title, I believe, Abandoned to Empowered, and the podcast was Empowered. And the lady on my show was like, no, and I like Abandoned to Abundant. And I was like, ooh, that's nice. I like that. And this is like, I don't know how long ago, and I was like, I think that could work. And then the whole time I'm like, wait, but am I abundant? And I'm like working on that, like becoming, this wealthy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I am abundant. I am abundant.
Yes.
I live in peace. I have a beautiful dog, a beautiful home. I live in Florida. I look at palm trees. I'm abundant. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right. So our bank accounts do not dictate our worth. They do not dictate, our pasts do not dictate anything. Like it's just, we all have these stories and programs from the culture and society that we live in that, like working hard is how you have to make money, is working hard. No, I don't want that belief and I'm not going to have it. Like I choose my beliefs, right? That serve me, that empower me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've really started to step into this deeper knowing, like you're talking about. Oh, look, we have matching cups. This deeper knowing of what abundant truly means. That it's not just the money, that it's really because you can have all the money and
Be miserable.
still right and still not feel abundant. So
Exactly.
it's really so much about how we feel, right? Like how to feel good. And you've got so many tools to feel good. What is a recent insight or story from a guest or a personal experience that has expanded your capacity to feel good? And how can our listeners start to apply this capacity to feel good, like expanding it a little bit?
Hmm. Well, um, I have a loving friend that I've known for like 20 plus years, and he's been extremely supportive and loving. And, because I don't have a relationship with my mother and just so many things. So, like, that is when you are working on your self love, a lot of it is before I actually didn't like myself at all. Like even though I took myself to Miami and I did these things, there was still a lot of self-hatred, I think, ultimately. And so learning to receive, learning to accept love, knowing you're worthy of it. So that's gigantic, right? So like you were saying with abundance, it's not just financial, there's relationships, there's, peace, peace with yourself, forgiving yourself. Like I don't hold and yeah, there's so much here. We could talk for hours, but expanding my capacity to feel good and others, I would just tell you to be more present, get quiet when you can, find spaces to be quiet and listen and nurture yourself, whether it's carving out 15 minutes in the morning, having a routine in the evening. I mean, we are worthy of peace and love from ourselves first. Like I have a morning practice. I have an evening. I love lighting candles, taking my bath, Epsom salts, reading my books in bed. There's just so many things. I
What's
like,
what's your most effective tool that will take you from a low vibration to a high vibration within, let's say, like half an hour to an hour? Like what is right now? Because I know there's so many things we've done over the years, but
yeah.
right now, what do you feel like is the tool that's just like, oh yeah, that if I do that, that'll get me right in the zone.
Well, moving your body is always going to be a really quick way to shift because you're getting endorphins moving and because you're literally um moving from whatever's in the head. Like you just have to become the observer of your life. I always say become the observer of your life. You're not your thoughts. These thoughts come and go, like you said, waves, right? We can choose a different thought. It's that simple. It sounds simple, but it's effort, right? So it's like, okay, I'm having this negative thought. I'm gonna notice it, and then I'm gonna say, no, let me choose something better, a little better, and
Yes.
it could be a gratitude thought like, okay, well, this is happening, but there's a blessing here. There's always a blessing, even if it seems negative, right? Like, and it happens every day almost in like an old version of me would think and want to dwell. I let shit go now. Like I used to hold on to everything. I remember back in, I don't remember, 2019, I was in this real estate coaching thing, and she's like, Linda, when you plant a garden, you don't stand over it, right? So, like, when I'd get a lead and I'd like follow up, and no one's responding because people are busy. But I was like, oh my God, they're not responding. But it's like,
Yep.
no, you don't stand over the garden and watch, after you plant the seed and water it, you got to
That's a
go.
good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, because we can get caught in that kind of hooking onto things and kind of like obsessing over like who didn't get back to you or why are they acting this way, or like I love the whole Mel Robbins let them theory. Yeah, it's great. So you just started to let shit go and just move
Oh
on.
yeah.
You move your body. You're talking about movement and just being in your body and moving and then choosing a better thought and just immersing. It sounds like you're just immersing yourself in all these goodness practices, all these things that just
Yeah.
fill up your well.
And
So, yeah, it's amazing. So if someone is on their path and they feel like they're kind of like so the way I see it is, and I know you understand this, it's like a spiral, right? It's like we're not our trajectory isn't like this upward straight line, but that really we're just spiraling upward and we get to return to the lesson, but like you just said, you see yourself reacting or responding, I should say, in a different way than you would have in the past. And that's the spiral, right? That's like, I came back around to the lesson, but this time I see myself responding differently. And so, wherever anyone is on their path, they might feel like, oh, same shit again. What's going on here? Like, why am I dealing with this again? I thought I learned that lesson. But can you speak to like this kind of evolution and how it can feel like we're kind of learning the similar lessons or the same lesson, and then, what the evolution of that is?
I think again, it's like we are powerful and we have to step into our power. And I think that's really what the big message here is like um, allowing external things to affect you is giving away your power. And
Yes, yes.
so it's there's just so much. But what came to me when you were talking earlier or recently about, when to shift quickly is also to write shit down. If you are
Mm,
a lot going on, put it down on paper. It immediately you feel better right away. So that's
yes.
something to do. But we are powerful and we get to decide every single day how we want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Something external happens, like it happened today with this group thing I was in, and I'm very mindful of how I am, and I'm also just like, okay, what is the version of me that I desire to be? How is she handling this situation, right?
Mm.
Um, and you want to be classy and you want to be professional and you want to be this, but you also want to be truthful and authentic and all that,
Yeah, there's so much.
right? But it's like, and then the outcome isn't exactly how you desire it to be, or it doesn't
Yes.
always feel good. But I'm like, I let it go because it doesn't mean anything. Nothing really
Yes.
means anything. It doesn't
Yeah.
nothing means anything. My son taught me that. My son has been a giant spiritual teacher.
Wow. How old is he now?
He's 26, turning 20.
Oh, I love it. What a blessing that you can
Yeah.
say that he's a spiritual teacher and that you have this beautiful relationship with him. That's talk about blessings.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a gigantic. I mean, God has blessed me so much. And I mean, the dog, he blessed me with this amazing dog. I've had dogs for 30 plus years. My last one died in May of 21. I was not getting another dog, and I'm a big dog person. And then it's a whole story. But I fostered him. He was my first like foster. And He is like no other dog I've ever had. I mean, I love
Oh.
dogs, but yeah, he's really incredible.
Oh my gosh, Linda, I feel the same way. I've had all of these adopted dogs over the years, and then finally I got my dream from my childhood. I used to draw pictures of golden retrievers and put them up on the wall when I was like 6. Same thing as you. I got locked out of that particular home. I got locked out when I was a little kid. It was raining the whole same as you. Anyway, but dream dog, and she's here now. We finally have her. I finally have my childhood dream dog, and I feel the same way.
I love that. You know, there's a lot of beliefs that you're me and I'm you. Like we're actually one
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you have that belief, but
Yeah.
even when I interviewed who studies under Joe Dispenza, she was saying like when I think we stopped recording, like that there's 7 mirrors. Are you familiar with this
Seven
concept?
mirrors, tell me.
I have to look it up, but it was like it's these different, it's almost like 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D. So I mean
Okay.
it's that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean everybody you can Google, but it's just she says it's almost scary.
Mm.
But like we have these beliefs that we're separate. Like
Yep.
and that's something we do. And that's something else I invite people to do when they like get on social media and sometimes they compare and like see, oh well,
Yep.
she's married and she's on a vacation in Hawaii and I'm over here like what's why, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but it's something to be happy for that person and to know that it's available and we're all well, I don't know, you have like the karma or you do what is
Oh,
it?
chanting. Yeah. I mean, my husband and I used to drive around Hollywood because we used to live in LA, and we would say, I bless your success. I bless your success to all the mansions.
Mm.
Right? Because it is, I do believe what you're saying is that we're all one. And the oneness became a really like tangible feeling when I had my first psilocybin mushroom journey, like sacred experience with a shaman. It was like, oh yeah, oh now I get it. Like that person right there, that is also me. Like I really, it dropped from the theory into the like reality of the visceral like knowing of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I never had that experience. That's interesting. Wow. I definitely want you on the podcast. We're gonna make it happen soon.
Oh, I'd love to. Well, I think that you experience that though, Linda, when you're in your flow. You know, when you're meditating and when you're in your compassion, when you're doing your gratitude practices, I think you've experienced that oneness, right? Those
Yeah.
mirrors. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's just always whenever there's judgment, it's self-judgment. That's one thing too. Like when we're judging another, it's, or anybody that's hurt people hurt people. Anyone that's hurting,
Yep.
it's a craving for love. It's a call for love,
Right.
right?
That's the Marianne Williams, well, the Course in Miracles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just incredible information and powerful. It's hard though sometimes to like, believe like you're like, okay, what in me needs healing, right?
Mm.
When you're looking at someone else and you're judging, there's like this own part of your own shadow.
Yeah, and that is the Buddhist practice too, is I mean, and we can get to it in all sorts of ways, that compassion, but it can also drive you crazy, like you're saying, to just be like, well, what in me? Like everything's a mirror. It's like
Right.
sometimes you just gotta be like moving on, like you said, like let that shit go because you could just mine that forever. You could
Yeah,
just keep mining it and mining it. And sometimes we just have to let it go and move on.
exactly.
Because if it's an important lesson, it'll come back around again, like that spiral I was
I
talking about.
just love when I take an action that like I know that a different version of me would not have done. And then there's this giant blessing on the other side. Or I didn't react the way I would have before a year ago or 2 years ago, and a giant blessing is on the other side. I
I
love
feel that. I feel that. That's how you know you're growing when you have those little moments of like, ooh, I did that different.
I love it too. Yeah,
That's
I love
great.
growing.
So, Linda, talk to me about abundance because abandoned to abundant, if I'm wanting to feel monetarily, not just feel, but actually literally have more money, what are some things that I can do, some things that I can say or think or practice that you could give to us? Some little tools.
Absolutely. So it's about noticing whenever money is coming to you or a gift is coming to you and acknowledging it and being grateful for it and saying, thank you, I'd love more. So when you open your bank account and you see that amount, instead of feeling like, oh, that's not enough, be like, thank you, I'd love more. Or, you receive, maybe you make $20 selling something low ticket or whatever, you can say, oh my gosh, thank you, I'd love more, I'd love more. So, and the other idea I had,
I just want to say I love that because I'll get like residual checks from my acting jobs that I did years ago, like a Law and Order thing. And now it's dwindled over the years. Like it used to be a lot and then it'll get a little smaller and smaller. And it'll be like, $20 or something like you just said. And I'll just be like, okay, grateful. Like maybe I'll like kiss it and be like thankful and grateful. But I've never done that. I've never said, thank you, I'd love more. Because there's conditioning in me that goes, well, that's greedy. So, how do
mm,
you override the conditioning?
oh, that's huge. That is a giant awareness. So that is so powerful. Um, it's knowing that we are it's in the Bible. Like we're supposed to be wealthy. Like we're
Mm,
meant to have God, you don't want your children struggling. You don't want your children not having, right? You want your children successful. You want your children with wealth, right? So it's that's a whole shift, like I said, with the Audacity to Be Clean book. You can't feel guilty for, I mean, you can feel it, but it's not serving you. How is that serving you, right? It's not serving,
right.
right? So you need a more empowering, like, I am worthy and deserving of all of the wealth, all of the abundance. And so when you receive any kind of money, it could be someone bought you lunch. Thank you, universe. This is abundance. Thank you. Or, $5 gift card here, whatever it is. It's just saying thank you. I like saying I'd love 10,000 times that. I'd love 100,000 times that. I'd love,
Great.
I find a penny on the ground. Oh, thank you, universe. I'd like a million times that. You know what I mean? And then
That's
also,
fun.
yeah, it's super fun. And the other idea is to put money throughout your home
Okay.
in little areas. Like I've done this multiple times, and it's just a way of like you open that little drawer and you're like, oh, there's $20 or there's a 50 or there's 10 and it's just knowing that you have it all around you. And then there's the whole relationship with money and, figuring that story out because you may not like money. And if you don't like it, you're going to repel
Mm,
it, right?
yes, yes.
Yes, because, if you have negative programming or you think,
Like
like,
money's evil or da da da. Yeah.
yes, yes, that's a whole conversation. And basically, you just have to notice, what does money bring? Money brings food to my family. Money brings health. I get to go to the gym. Money helps me feed my dog. Money helps me live in this beautiful space. Like, recognize what it does. It's really just a neutral entity. It's an energy, but it's neutral. It's not good or
Yes.
bad. Right?
Yes.
So it's really getting clear. But like you said, you were aware that you didn't want to feel greedy and you felt greedy, wanting more. And there's yeah, it's good that you are aware and now you can switch and change your beliefs and know that you deserve it. You're worthy of it. Plus, you earned that money, you know?
There are so many times when I've received a lot and other times where things don't feel like they're flowing. And it's just fascinating because what's the difference? And so I think that it's a fascinating way to self-improve is to like that's like a good fast inroad to looking at all of your blocks because it's all connected like intimacy, love, abundance, money, spirituality, like it's all so connected because we could go through the inroad of anything, like talking about intimacy, and then that leads. I did a breathwork session yesterday with my husband, and the intention was to have intimacy with my husband, but we ended up talking about money. And it doesn't matter which inroad you take. It's all a fascinating way of evolving, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, money is like, I mean, it's a spiritual idea. I mean, everything starts in the mind, right? Thoughts become things, right? So the cup was somebody's idea, and the microphone, and this computer, and the rocket to the moon, and the car, and all the things, right? So someone thought of money, and it's like we have such a giant thing around money.
Mm.
It's just energy. It's just it flows. It comes and it goes, period. If you are holding your fist like this, you're not going to receive, right? If you're worrying,
Yes.
you know, and I've heard this other thing, saying the choosing your words, right? So if you say save, oh, I have to save, I have to budget. I hate the word budget.
Yeah.
Budget is a fun word. And
Yeah.
save, like preparing for lack in the future. That's what save.
Mm.
But when you trust and you believe and you know that you're going to be protected, guided, and supported, you're protected. You're always taken care of, right? You can feel more at ease with it. But the other piece I was going to say about money is money comes and goes. And when you are so needy, clingy. I mean, it's just like a relationship. If you go on a date with a guy and you're attracted, and then all of a sudden he's calling you 25 times, you're immediately turned off and you're not interested because it's like, no, I don't want that, right? So it's really just correcting the relationship and treating it more respectfully and loving, and it's
Mm.
a relationship like anything else. And
Oh,
I've had my challenges over time, believe me, with money, but it's I think we make such a big deal out of it. And it's
yeah.
really, and just knowing you're worthy. It's another thing. You're putting so much value out there, Siri. You're showing up, you're helping so many people. You're always posting these most compassionate things, and it's like I don't know where I like we're opposite that way. Like I have compassion, but like you're just always out there like saying these beautiful things and like holding space for the world, and like it's okay if you're miserable, it's okay, I'm miserable too, or whatever you're saying. It's adorable, but I'm like, where does she get this energy from? But it's amazing. But ultimately, yeah, money's just, I think we just have these, it's a practice like anything, right? So healing your relationship with money is a practice. And
Yeah.
and have the belief that when you spend, it comes back to you multiplied. Whenever you give,
Right.
it comes back to you multiplied. So there's all these different things. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for those tips. Those are amazing.
Welcome.
Amazing tips. Thank you, Linda.
So welcome. Exactly.
This was really fun. Any last nuggets of wisdom that are coming through for you today that you want to share with our authentic creative audience?
I sure do. I was on Brenda's podcast yesterday, or she interviewed me, and she says at the end of the podcast, if you could put a billboard anywhere, what would it say and where would you put it? And what
Oh,
I said, it came to me, and I said, you are worthy, and you are worthy and deserving of all of your desires and your dreams. And I would put that somewhere where everybody sees it, California, somewhere that like the mountain where I don't know, somewhere famous. But it's like you are worthy. I want everybody to know that nobody's better than you and nobody's smarter than you, and you are worthy and deserving. Doesn't matter what you've done in the past. You are worthy and deserving of all your dreams, goals, desires, and it's available and we can have it. So that's my last statement.
that's
And
gorgeous. I've literally been writing because Amy Tangerine said that to me on the panel I just did, to not to me, but to everyone. What I desire is what I deserve. And I've been writing that and she goes, write that for 10 days and see what happens. So every day I've been writing it.
I love that. I didn't listen to the whole panel, but I did listen to your interview with Shariana Boyle, where you were on her show, but you put it on your show. Yeah, I loved it. It was
Thank
really,
you.
yeah, it was shorter than it could have. It could have been longer, but it was great. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
she does shorter segments,
I
which
know.
is kind of cool too, because you really just get to the heart of it. And
Yeah.
usually people are like, they've got 20 minutes and then they're on to the next thing anyway. Just like you said, you couldn't finish the panel. It's like, it's hard for people to finish a whole hour-long episode. So
I don't know how you got
bless you if you're listening to this and you get to
that.
the end because we appreciate you.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Um, but you coordinated all of those people at one time. That's
I mean,
incredible. Oh my,
it's so fun.
that's
It's so
impressive.
fun. Yeah, it was really, really, really exciting. I was looking forward to it, and then I was so excited doing it, and then after it finished, I was like so. But one of the women, Joya, she posted, and so it's public. She posted on Facebook, Joya Sostanowski, that her son passed in a car accident, and I saw this yesterday. Um, after the panel, it was like 2 days.
I'm
It was like 2 days ago.
so sorry. That's
And
awful.
and I just that's really hit me hard. It's like we were literally just on the panel together. Her name is Joya, like she's just so joyful. And she brought so much joy to the panel. And then I messaged all the women on that panel and said, this is what I just saw on her Facebook. Let's give her some love, right? Because, I can't even.
First night.
I
Yeah,
can't
it's your
even. You should not, we should not outlive our children.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the passion of mine too. My son had two friends that killed themselves within a year.
Oh,
Um, and, yeah, it's devastating. People are, yeah, I mean, what happened there is it's awful. How old was he? Did you?
I don't know the details. He looks maybe 18.
Oh,
So just anyway, so prayers to Joya, please, if you're listening, prayers to
yeah,
Joya. And
yeah.
Linda, thank you so much.
Oh,
You
my
have such
pleasure.
a huge heart. You have such a huge commitment to us elevating as a collective. You've been such an inspiration and a help to me in my life, and I just deeply appreciate you. And I'm just excited for anyone who feels drawn to you that you're gonna do incredible work together.
Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you so
You're
much.
so welcome. And guys, if you want to get in touch with Linda, I'm going to post in the show notes, but you can go onto Instagram, Linda Brand Coach. She's on Facebook, Linda Brand Coach, TikTok, LinkedIn. I don't know how you do all of this, because I can barely keep up with two of them, and you're on all of them. So that's very impressive. And then Linda Brand Realtor is another link, or she also has a YouTube. So you can find her everywhere.
Thank you. Yes.
Have a beautiful rest of your day. Please keep expanding your capacity to feel good one breath at a time. Loving you guys, and see you soon.
Thank you for being a part of our journey today. As we expand our capacity to feel good, we're creating a community that celebrates authenticity and creativity. If this episode resonated with you, please go ahead and follow us and leave a 5-star review. It's great karma points. Your support helps us reach others who are seeking the same connection and inspiration that you are. If you love anything that you heard, text this episode to a friend or share it on Instagram and tag me at Siri Baruch Thornton. I'd love to repost and connect with you. Together, we can build a space where everyone feels empowered to explore their true selves. So until next time, keep embracing your creativity and slowly expanding your capacity to feel good, one breath at a time.